communicated right from the beginning when he was hit on the ice, and Aaron got to him really quickly. He was able to communicate with Aaron right from that point. His voice was compromised somewhat through medication and through the positioning of the halo, I understand. And but he communicated quite well, and you know, his mood went back and forth depending on the medication and the pain, and mitigating the pain with that medication. And so he's been talking.
And what has he been saying? I mean, what is his mental state? This is a boy who obviously has excelled at hockey all his life, who dreams of playing in the NHL.
He's surprised a lot of people around him. He certainly didn't surprise his mother and I. We know what he's like, but he's surprised a lot of people with the character that he's shown, and he's had no other wish in life but to play hockey, and it's been on his mind quite a bit. But he's you know, he's tried to focus on what the doctors have been telling him, and try to follow that and stay in the moment of that, as opposed to think too far ahead about what might take place. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
But was he aware that there was a concern about him even walking? I mean,
absolutely. He had the first concern. He was laying on the ice and he had no feeling in his extremities, and he told me at that point he thought that he was paralyzed. He could not move anything, and when Aaron talked to him, he didn't have a lot of reaction at that time. So what was going through his mind was, this is the end of the not only the hockey career, but more importantly, you know, a lot of the things in life that he wants to do. He's a girlfriend here, and he really wants to have a family, and so those are the things that were going through his mind early on, and that's kind of where he's at now. He's very, very grateful. He has a saying now, which is we're kind of following. He said, some people have a glass that's half empty, and some people have a glass that's half full. He said, I'm extremely grateful that I've got a glass. And that's kind of guy that he is. This has been good, and I'm glad. But you know, get me back to bed. I want to rest. And he's tentative at the moment, you know, in trusting that he's not going to break his neck, and he doesn't yet realize how secure and stable he really is after the surgery. But that's just a matter of time.
Well, and that's actually one of the things that's important in this phase of his care, is the rehabilitation side, because he's been down for a long time, and it's not good for human beings to lay in bed for a long period of time. He's been there, and now we have to work on getting him upright, getting used to being upright and walking. So it's going to be several days before he's confident in his ability to walk, but he will be. He will
play hockey again and still make a career in the NHL, or is that out of the question as of right now?
I think one of the issues is we have to get him healed, solidly healed, and that's going to be 3 to 6 months to really assess that. We know that he's got a spinal cord injury, and the extent of that, you got to understand, a high-end athlete, I mean, that spinal cord, the brain connection with the limbs is phenomenal. And it has to be that top edge to be competing at that level. So even a slight dysfunction in the spinal cord is going to have a profound effect on athletic performance. There's no way we're going to know that for about a year. So if he had obviously if he had a complete 100% recovery, completely solidly healed, and had, you know, normal reaction time and quickness at his craniocervical junction, yeah, in theory he could play again. I think that all those factors lining up in his healing are small, but it's one of the things that about, you know, wanting to bring him here to take care of him. I'm not going to tell him he can't. There's no way right now I can know that, and you know, it's one of those things. It's up to God. He heals and does well and wants to do it. Yeah. Actually, that was a key thing about preserving the motion, because if he was fused at the C1, C2, no. There are a lot of things in life he would not be able to do. About 50% of your motion in your neck, looking side to side, comes at that one joint. So that creates a whole host of problems long term. So the possibility is there. The potential is there. To whether or not it will happen, who has a crystal ball?
the Pioneer hockey team right now?
Exceptional. I think that we are probably in this position in large part initially from the type of university that Denver is and the quality of university that it is. We immediately received calls from the chancellor, and the coaches and the training staff have been wonderful. It's been a remarkable experience with a lot of support. The students on Friday night at the game had basically a Jesse Martin night and flew a student out here with a banner with hundreds and hundreds of signatures, and that's helped a great deal. So the University of Denver said, if there's anything that we need to certainly lean on them, and we have. And I've leaned personally on Aaron Liu. Without Aaron, I'm not sure that we would be here either. He was a fellow that kept me marching, which was great. So the University of Denver, fabulous. Brad Malone, the second day that he was here, and yes, he did. I was going to phone Brad's father and have a chat with him, and Jesse told me that he would prefer to talk to Brad himself, and he made the call and talked to him for about 10 minutes, and it was remarkable. But he felt very strongly that he didn't want Brad to be carrying baggage that he didn't have to carry, and he realized that sometimes the victim is often the person that applied the hit as well, and he wanted to reach out to him.
So he doesn't feel badly about the hit? I mean, does he feel it was...
He doesn't feel badly with the player. He admires Brad's game, and he told him so, and he said he plays a tough, hard game, and he wanted him to carry that confidence level with him in the future. He's a young man trying to make a career for himself in hockey as well, and this could set him back tremendously in how he might play the game, and Jesse wanted to know that he had looked at the hit, and while it was an illegal hit in terms of the rules, certainly, but it was more a conspiring of unfortunate circumstances that just occurred at the perfect storm at the wrong moment, and he wanted him to know that player to player, and Brad welcomed that, and they resolved it between the two of them that way.
A lot of people have read about this story and said that this is the worst possible nightmare, that obviously it sounds like things are going really well, but what would you say to other parents who are reading and hearing about this story and saying, gosh, really, do I let my kids play hockey?
I would promote them staying in the sport. It's I think if you take a super conservative attitude and overprotect your children, unfortunately they could step off a curb one day and get hit by a drunk driver, and that's something we can't protect them from. These cases don't happen every day, certainly, and then there's millions of kids playing hockey that aren't subject to this particular incident. So I think the sport has room to look at the culture that surrounds aggressive play and over-aggressive play and dangerous play. But I would tell a parent to definitely keep their kids doing what they enjoy, and do it as safely as possible. I would say this to parents: if their children ever get into having an accident of this type or having an injury of this type, is to explore all of the options that they have available to them before making the decision on which way to proceed as far as resolving that injury is concerned. That's an extremely important thing to do. Know what those options are, and then pick the right choice and pick the right people.
Because as opposed to, there could have been a fusion, I guess, to solve this.
There could have been a fusion. I mean, that was a resolution that was provided by another team that were very, very good, and they have reasons of their own as to why that would be a safe and acceptable method, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's knowing as a parent and a decision maker with your child, what are your options, and then being able to make an educated guess. And what we wanted to do was be able to look Jesse in the eye, you know, a year from now and say, you know what, son, we did everything we possibly could to find the right choices that we had available, and then we made our decision rather than just accept, you know, the first one that was available to us.
Jesse may still end with a fusion. I mean, this is, our goal is to get him solidly healed with the way we did the surgery. He's a young man, he's a healthy man. The particular way this fracture was lined up was one amenable to Dr. Mendez fixing this. And so we thought, let's keep all our options open. But it may well be, if it doesn't heal well, or if he develops arthritis where he was dislocated, he may yet end up with a fusion. He may spontaneously fuse across where the joints were injured. So it may yet end up with a fusion, even with the procedure that we did. Again, this procedure, the way that we've approached this, has given the most potential to be normal 2 years from now. But how this actually will end up, we don't know ourselves right now.
Preparing for this next week, basically, and I don't mean that facetiously. We're preparing this week. My wife is going to go back to Canada, and I'm going to stay and then go on to Denver, and then we're preparing to get him integrated into the hospital in Denver and under the direction and guidance of Dr. Morgan and Dr. Mendez. And from there, we'll let it unfold from there to see what type of physiotherapy or rehab is required, and we'll follow that through. Jesse has, you know, had a number of injuries, had some serious surgery before, and he's a great guy in that regard. He knows how hard it is to persevere, and we'll follow along and really just follow the advice of the people, medical people close to nonstop. They've all, at different times, George Gwozdecki was here, head coach. Steve Miller was here, the associate head coach, and Aaron Liu has been here throughout and gone back and come back for the surgery. And his teammates, they're constantly sending texts back, and we're relaying them back and forth. And he's talked to a couple on the phone as well, and so it's tight. It's a tight community. His sense of humor is, you know, that's kind of the almost the backbone of his character, his personality, and he'll say things at the oddest times, and you know, the humor is still there, even under all the pressure and all the pain and the anxiety. I mean, he'll say something to push Dr. Mendez's button just to make him smile, and he'll say something to Aaron, and so we didn't see that for the first few days, and but after that, when we started to see that come back in to play, we knew that you know, he was back on the road. So his humor, certainly, and his ability to look at this you know, objectively.